Hello everyone and welcome back to another live watch-along on my F1 channel, Hit the Apex. I'm Charlie and today we're live for practice 3 of the 2022 French Grand Prix. Of course, the third session of this weekend, FP1 and FP2. Yesterday we covered FP1, we couldn't cover FP2 unfortunately. But today, FP3 and potentially qualifying later on. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We're a minute away from the start of FP3. Big up ORC Racing in the chat. He says he's prediction Verstappen first, Leclerc second, and Perez in third. Sainz has a 10-place grid penalty, as ORT has just said, but he still could potentially start at the back of the grid if he takes more engine penalties. So we're just going to share the stream quickly before the start of this session. So FP3 is now underway. The first time Mercedes have not won in the first half of the season. Wow. George Russell is now out on track. Yeah, Russell went on a good run of always getting in the top 5. It has recently ended though after his DNF in Silverstone. So no one has set a time as of yet. Yeah, if the halo wasn't there, Guan Yu Zhou would probably be dead, let's be honest. Silverstone was a very good race though. Esteban Ocon last 5 races, 12th in Monaco, 10th in Azerbaijan, 6th in Canada. He DNF'd in Britain and finished 5th in Austria. So, round 12 of the 2022 season comes to Paul Ricard in France. Ferrari topped both sessions on Friday, courtesy of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. However, Sainz is set for grid penalties after taking new power unit components. Max Verstappen struggled with understeer and was fractionally off the pace. So it's another roasting hot day at Paul Ricard with shade at a premium. Spare a bit of thought for the fans with this weekend a complete sellout. They have been in raucous form so far today, and hopefully the sight of some F1 cars will reinvigorate anyone wilting in the summer heat. Um, What are they about to see? Well, the final hour of practice should have most of the field optimizing their setups ahead of qualifying and concentrating on one lap pace. Charles Leclerc is in the box seat so far, with Max Verstappen not totally happy with his Red Bull yesterday. The one anomaly out there is Carlos Sainz. He already has a 10th place grid drop confirmed thanks to taking on a new control electronics unit, taking him beyond his allowed allocation. But he has hinted at taking on more parts, and as such may well start from 20th tomorrow. It's a shame for the Spaniard who actually topped the timing sheets in FP2 and looked strong from the off, but this is a circuit where overtaking is possible, and he'd rather start down the field here than in Hungary next weekend. So, as for the tyres, Pirelli have given the teams the middle three compounds, the C2, the C3, and the C4. The soft was holding on for more than one flying lap yesterday, despite the track temperature nearing the 60-degree mark. Mercedes had a solid first day at Paul Ricard, looking comfortably the third fastest team. But can they close the gap to the leading two? With Sainz out the picture and Perez a little off the pace, it looks like there are opportunities today for a season's best qualifying. Their best start so far is fourth, achieved by both drivers, and the Ferrari boys have certainly indicated that on race pace, Mercedes are pretty much there, but it is their one lap pace where they're still lacking. Put that right, and it could be a three-team fight for the win tomorrow. So it's all action here already. Perez, who had a stop-start day yesterday, is already out on the mediums. And down at Mercedes, there's a fair amount of work going on. Andrew Shovlin has confirmed that Hamilton wanted some quite comprehensive setup changes overnight, with those continuing by the looks of things. Russell, though, has headed out on a set of the hard compound tyres. This weekend we'll see Hamilton take part in his 300th Grand Prix, a landmark that only 6 other drivers in the history of the sport have achieved. So we have been looking back on some of our favourite Hamilton memories this weekend. This is a snippet of what F1 correspondent and presenter Lawrence Barretto had to say about the 7-time world champion. What struck me as we sat on top of the cabinets at the back of the ART garage was not only how in-depth his self-analysis was, but how incredibly tough he was on himself. Verstappen is out on the set of the mediums. Has he also made sweeping setup changes, or did he just tweak his car overnight? He was struggling with understeer, especially when flat out, but the race pace was very decent from Red Bull yesterday. Here is Max Verstappen on the radio.
First lap for Checo on the medium was a 33.6.
So Checo has set a 33.6 as his first lap. Ocon's out on track, gaining some decent support from the crowd as he circulates. A French driver in a French car doesn't get better than that. He's on the mediums and needs to find some pace after languishing down the order yesterday. We've got a replay here of Kevin Magnussen. He just got on the curb. Verstappen has just gone top on the mediums with a 1 minute 32.8. That's only 3 tenths slower than Sainz' leading marker in FP2, or in other words, quick. The track will continue to ramp up, and Verstappen has yet to switch to the softs and empty the fuel out. Here's Perez on the radio.
So losses to Max are mostly mid-corner turn 4.
So Perez struggling turn 4. Hamilton is straight out on the soft. Setup changes completed. Will he be happier with the handling of the W13 today? He missed FP1 as Nick de Vries took over his cockpit, and as such had just 1 hour to hone that setup yesterday. 10 minutes gone and only 4 times on the sheets make that 5. Hamilton has just slotted into 4th between Ocon and Magnussen. No sign of the AlphaTauri boys, but they look to be getting ready. Here is Esteban Ocon on the radio.
Turn 11 is pretty stable. Maybe we could add flap for that.
Esteban, we'd like to try the close modifier from sort of 3 round to 6. We think the most effect it's going to have is turn 5. It might be worth a go and just see if we can add some rear support because the diff's fully open there.
Okay.
Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens.
Big straight line deficit, the main thing Hamilton is told with regards to where he's losing time to the Red Bulls, how things turned around. Mercedes are the chasers this year, and despite huge improvements, they're still some way back from the Red Bulls and the Ferraris. So Verstappen 6 wins, Leclerc 3, Perez and Sainz with 1. Aston Martin have not been great, as you've said. Albon struggled in Silverstone. Verstappen won a 2-stop last year here in Le Castellet, and of course the tyres, soft, mediums and hards. Russell, Stroll and Vettel have all scrubbed a set of hard compound tyres here with a view of using them in the race tomorrow is looking like a 2-stop with the softs the least likely to be used. Here's Verstappen on the radio.
Okay, we'll box this lap, Max. Keep up the pace on the win, please. Could I have the thoughts on balance, left hand, right hand?
Pretty even. Maybe a tiny bit more understeer left hand.
So Pierre Gasly just starts his first flying lap. More cars are starting to emerge out on track with a mixture of red and yellow marked tyres on show. There's still things to learn before those qualifying simulation runs get underway later on once the track ramps up and is close to its best. Hamilton sounded incredulous a few moments ago when told he has a 1.7 second gap to Verstappen. Was he also told that the Dutchman is on mediums, themselves arguably close to half a second slower than the softs? Looks there is plenty of work still to be done on that W13. Here is Russell on the radio.
So you're in sync with all these cars around it.
Box for clap.
Right, so you're still understeer 6. Let me know how much flap you need.
No one ended up in the barriers yesterday, but a fair few ran wide, and the striking looking stripes here slow you down. But they are not kind to tyres. The first driver to head off today is Magnussen, running wide at turn 11. As predicted, it's now been confirmed by the FIA that Sainz has taken on more power unit components and therefore is starting from the back of the grid on Sunday. But it looks like he'll be joined down there by Magnussen, who has also changed most of his power unit. Here is Hamilton on the radio.
And we take another double call, up to 15 seconds behind.
I have a lot of air coming into my visor, Stroll tells the team. The Canadian currently sitting 12th on the mediums. He's scrubbed a set of hards like his teammate in preparation for tomorrow. It's something Aston Martin tend to do every Saturday. So Sainz and Magnussen will be running slightly different strategies today, likely saving mediums for the race and using up softs, since they don't require as many sets for qualifying later on. Here is Russell on the radio.
I'm still struggling a bit to get the brakes in a good window.
There's been a spin with the Ferrari. Sky Sports are currently on an ad break, so I've not seen anything. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that one. Who has spun? We're still waiting to see. Leclerc has a spin. That won't do much for his hard tyres. Leclerc looks to have caught a bit of a tailwind into turn 12 and he lost his rear and did a full 360. Luckily, the runoff areas here are vast and he keeps well clear of the barriers. But the real question is, are those tyres salvageable? Here is a replay into turn 12. Leclerc loses the rear end and spins out. And a replay of Carlos Sainz going wide at turn 11. Here's Valtteri Bottas on the radio.
And suggests to carry more speed, minimum speed to turn 14. Can attack less on braking, carry more speed through 14.
Leclerc's spin was the first and biggest of a number of small moments. Perez and Sainz have both been wide at turn 11, and Norris has been offline at turn 3. The Spaniard has gone second now on the soft compound tyres. Overnight, Haas have changed a number of power unit components on Magnussen's car, and consequently will be subject to a grid penalty for tomorrow's race. Caps are the way forward for the crowd, and after Sea of Orange in Austria, it's a completely mixed bag with this crowd. Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes all have decent levels of support, and so does Alpine, and it looks like the McLaren fans are getting involved too. Bonus points for those in bucket hats. There are a couple tricky bumps out there on this circuit that are proving testing, and here's what happens if you catch one at the wrong angle. Something to keep an eye on in qualifying later, with it currently a toss-up between riding the bump or going slightly off the racing line as to which will actually prove quickest. Some quick laps are starting to come in now. Gasly has popped into fourth, a second back on Verstappen, the Frenchman's teammate, down in P13, as Tsunoda continues to get to grips with a reasonably large raft of upgrades. Here's George Russell on the radio.
And Lewis, much wider Apex 11, consider trying that. So Strat 3.
Here's a replay of Yuki Tsunoda, currently in P8, struggling with traffic. Riding on board with Ricciardo, and his latest effort leaves him down in P20. There's a good chance he's on a higher fuel run, and he's still on the mediums, perhaps needing the extra practice after not being happy with his race pace yesterday. Tsunoda has been wide, and replays show he was avoiding traffic. He says, "Bro, that was so dangerous." He chunters to his race engineer with a 4-letter word added in for good measure. Here is Daniel Ricciardo on the radio.
Okay, understood. Did you say, was it position 4?
Correct. White H1 position 4. White H1 position 4, and that is 5th gear.
There's a replay of a Red Bull going wide of Max Verstappen. It's disappointing, but we had to do it. We had to introduce a fourth engine at some point, says Haas-boss Gunter Steiner. The lap time of Kevin shows we're pretty quick here. He'll be hoping Magnussen can make a progress tomorrow. If you want to know more about these grid drops, read there. We're not going to do that, F1. The track is currently at 53 degrees Celsius, a fair bit lower than yesterday. It is projected to continue to rise through qualifying, which begins at 4 local time, and that might be why plenty of drivers are leaving it late to do their fast laps. And get the most representative conditions possible. Steiner has also confirmed that they have been practicing a tow, and as such, Magnussen might try and stick around in qualifying to help his teammate grab the best possible grid slot later on. Here is Guan Yu Zhou on the radio.
Then you have again
It's not there anymore.
Copy. Now watch Verstappen and Hamilton both pushing. Watch both Verstappen and Hamilton.
"20 minutes left then of FP3. Leclerc has just come out on fresh softs for the next 5 minutes or so. Or maybe Verstappen, who has looked pretty solid today. Anyone fancy Mercedes or a big result for a home driver? Gasly has been quietly impressive so far. Leclerc has gone second. All eyes on Leclerc, who goes purple in the first sector. Personal best second and third sector followed, and he goes second. Still a 10th off, and that's with Verstappen time being set on the mediums. Here's Lando Norris on the radio.
Just Leclerc. Verstappen's in turn 12, doing continuous laps.
Sainz also went quicker and he's in third. 3 tenths back on Verstappen. There have been instances in the past where the mediums have been the quicker tyre, especially if it's extremely hot and the softs just can't hang on for a full lap. This answers to the conundrum, which will be revealed as soon as Verstappen bolts on the softs. Williams are looking good today with Albon in 6th and Latifi in 8th. Yes, they've been on the soft tyre runs when others haven't, but it's a step forward on yesterday afternoon. Here is Bottas on the radio.
Yeah, got me. That lap I went too wide, so should be better.
Okay, understood.
Along with Verstappen, Vettel, Stroll, Perez, Alonso and Ocon are still yet to bolt on the softs. 16 minutes left. A Ferrari 2-3 at the moment. It's a mixed bag out there at the moment. Ricciardo's on a flying lap on the softs, but plenty of others are seeing how to best cool down their tyres in these temperatures, with a few to multiple runs in Q1 a little later on, while for others, they're still yet to come out on the softs. Ricciardo into P10. Here's Leclerc on the radio.
So places to improve. Braking later into turn 8, apex speed 15, and consider one more downshift into 15.
So while we were playing that, Carlos Sainz has gone quickest. Sainz has managed to nail his cooldown lap. He's leapt away and nailed that first sector, going fastest of all, but his lap time tails off in the second sector, and yet he still goes top. A purple third sector carrying him to that P1 slot. Looks like backing off in the middle sector and keeping rubber for the last few corners. Paid dividends there. Sainz time was a 1:32.6, just under 2 tenths clear of Verstappen. Both Verstappen and Perez are out on the softs. This track is up to 55 degrees Celsius now, and the Red Bull boys set off their flying laps. Verstappen's first sector is purple, and Perez can't match that. At the minute, Verstappen is purple in sector 1 and sector 2. And Verstappen will cross the line and go 3 times quicker than Sainz. A 1:32.2 for Max Verstappen. Purple in the middle sector for Verstappen as well, as the Dutchman doesn't seem to be struggling with that understeer that plagued him yesterday. It's the top spot for the Red Bull man by 3.5 tenths. Perez has aborted his lap. Here's Leclerc on the radio.
My tires are dead on the second lap. I don't know why.
Understood.
Leclerc's tyre is dead on the second lap. Well, that was emphatic. Who was Verstappen in their fantasy team? Perez just hasn't been at the races this weekend. Sainz has looked strong, but it's set for grid penalties, so it could all be down to Leclerc here to stop the Verstappen juggernaut out there. There's 5 minutes left of FP3. So into the final 5 minutes, and it's Verstappen from Sainz and Leclerc with Hamilton fourth. The gaps are relatively big though, with 1.1 seconds separating first from sixth. Here's Schumacher on the radio.
Could we maybe also stop in the box and add some flap?
Okay, we can do that, and we won't do the start at the pit line, we'll do it in the box. So watch for Kevin now, 2 behind. Meanwhile, it looks like Vettel won't get a soft tyre running.
the German's AMR22 is up on stands and being worked on, as Fernando Alonso will be the next man to cross the line. He will move up to 7th place. Here's Ocon on the radio.
No grip, guys. No grip.
All right, Magnussen, 7 seconds behind high fuel, so he will come past us.
Two minutes left then of FP3. Floor damage is the word on the street from Aston Martin with regards to Vettel's car. Stroll is now out on the softs though, so his data will be valuable here for his teammate. Alonso and Ocon have also finally bolted on the softs. The gaps at the top might be relatively large, but the midfield is tight. Just over half a second separates Alonso in P7 to Magnussen in P16. That's going to make the fight for Q3 later on pretty tasty. Verstappen's on a lap at the minute. He's not had a great first sector though. Here is Sergio Perez on the radio.
Yep. Still a bit too neutral. I think we need to clear a bit the balance from high fuel to low fuel. Because for the low fuel, turn 6 is quite neutral.
So the checkered flag is out. And Verstappen, as he finished the second sector, is currently 3/10 down. Alonso, personal best in the first sector. There's a bit of traffic going into the final corner. And a Haas, I'm not sure which Haas it is. I think it's Mick Schumacher got in the way of Max Verstappen there. Alonso, personal best first sector. Second sector, not great. Verstappen has topped FP3. Sainz second, Leclerc in third. Tsunoda 10th, Latifi 12th, Gasly 13th, Zhou 15th, Magnussen 16th, Ocon 17th, Stroll 18th, Schumacher 19th, Vettel in 20th. Alonso will cross the line and stay in P7. Sainz was the closest chaser, but remember he has a grid drop for tomorrow after taking on a new a raft of new power unit components. That leaves Leclerc as the man most likely to hunt the Dutchman down, but he was over 6 tenths adrift in that session. So here we've got Lando Norris on the radio.
Radio check?
Yeah, loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's still cutting in and out. It didn't work at all in the pit lane.
Okay, understood.
So it finishes Verstappen on top in FP3, a Ferrari 2-3 of Sainz and Leclerc second and third. Hamilton in the Mercedes is fourth. Sergio Perez in the Red Bull is fifth. George Russell in the Mercedes sixth. Seventh is Fernando Alonso in the Alpine. Eighth is Alex Albon in the Williams. Ninth, Lando Norris in the McLaren. 10th, Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri. 11th, Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren. 12th, Nicholas Latifi in the Williams. 13th is Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri. And Alfa Romeo 14-15 with Bottas 14th. Zhou in 15th. Magnussen 16th. Ocon is 17th. Lance Stroll 18th. Mick Schumacher in 19th. And Sebastian Vettel in 20th. So that is it for this session. Next up will be qualifying, but I'm not sure we will be covering it, unfortunately. But yeah, that is it for today's stream. Everybody take care, and we'll see you all soon. Take care, and goodbye for now.